Hello everybody, Ben speaking, also known as Quite Super Mario. I sort of feel like it's kind of come to a head now, and I have to say something, especially because it unfortunately involves me so much, and also because I'm at this point getting sick and tired of hearing lies, and again, I haven't really pitched in, but it's just the sort of small lies that are really getting to me. Because it's an unwillingness to just be responsible, I guess. Um, I haven't taken any notes, there isn't any script, so this might get a bit rambly. If it does, if I go past like 20 minutes maybe, although 20 minutes is still a long time, I might cut this down a little bit. The only 5 notes that I've taken are the 5 headings I want to talk about, and I know 5 seems like a lot, but I feel it's pretty important to discuss a few things. Briefly, I just want to talk about how the 96 Exit Championship, how that came about, why it was on Speedrunners League. A lot of people have been asking why it was there and not on SMW. There's a pretty simple answer for that. I also want to talk about my personal experience at Speedrunners League and Jerry on a personal level. I want to discuss a couple of different claims and accusations and assertions made by several parties here. I want to just add to those whatever I can and maybe shine some light on it, I guess. And then at the end, I just want to talk about my thoughts on Speedrunners League, this type of operation, and then very finally at the end, I want to talk about the SMW community going forward and how, what this sort of implies, what the implications are for the SMW community, and I guess any community that wants to be involved in this sort of thing. Just taking a pause there to take a little drink. But anyway, yeah, I guess a lot of people have probably been wondering like why I haven't said anything, and I thought the actions that I took, aka pulling the 96 exit tournament, was probably enough. Although I admit there was probably it probably wasn't very respectful of me to the people that got screwed in different ways not to have said something publicly. But I guess I just didn't want to air all this dirty laundry in public, especially with the 96 Exit Championship going so well. I mean, this has easily been the best organized, the best restreamed, the best scheduled, and probably our most viewed tournament. We met every deadline. We had every match restreamed, every match commentated. So I didn't really want any of this to taint the good work that had already been put into the tournament. But I don't know. I don't like coming online to be asking myself, oh, what claims will have been made about me today? What bullshit am I going to have to sift through? And I sort of just want to make my thoughts clear on it as well. Because this makes me feel pretty crap about all the hard work everybody's put in, not just to this tournament, but the SMW community as a whole. Like, if you look at all the community stuff that's going on right now, you've got to admit to yourself, there's so much happening compared to last year, and I don't want to feel bad about any of that. I don't want to look at that and think, what the fuck is the point? And I'm certainly not going to feel that way, but the last couple of days definitely made me feel a bit crap about it all. Okay, so back to the bullet points, back to my 5 bullet points that I'm going to try and stick to, but I'll probably go off on countless tangents. The 96 Exit Championship, why was that on Speedrunners League? Why wasn't it on SMW? Well, we were just after a tournament. We were just after the 11 Exit tournament, and there was absolutely no plans for a tournament this early. Without the offer, if you want to call it that, from Speedrunners League, another tournament this early wasn't going to happen, and certainly not a 96 Exit tournament. I mean, if you were to ask me or Dots, oh, should the next tournament be 96 Exit before this, we would just say no. It always seemed like a bit of a nightmare to organise, and just too long, and scheduling people and getting people to do their matches. just seemed like a bit much, but basically I was approached by Jerry. Actually, me, Dots, and Dude were the 3 people that were approached by Jerry with regards to hosting some sort of SMW event with the top players. That's another reason why it was seeded to 32. Although that would have probably happened because it's 96, just too many matches. Yeah, we were asked to host some sort of SMW event. I sort of ended up being the one that took the reins of that. And just to point out, even though Dots was one of the ones approached, Dots made it very clear from the start, at least on our end, that he was to have nothing to do with it. He had already been stung by the SR League side. We'll talk about that shortly. But Dots was of the opinion, fuck this, not a chance, look at the operation. And this isn't me taking an opportunity to throw shade or anything. Dots was just very clear from the get-go, and actually 100% right in the end. But I guess I ignored my skepticism. I was doing, well, I was doing it in good faith. I thought everyone involved was doing it in good faith, and that might even still be the case. But anyway, whenever it comes to the 96 Exit Championship side of things, that is my responsibility. I was the one that took it on, and I was always prepared to, to need to pull this if something happened or promises weren't met or fulfilled. So I didn't see that it was much of a risk on the SMW side of things. I thought that it might potentially be a risk for my time and effort, and maybe others' time and effort into Speedrunners League, but honestly I didn't think there were any dangers or anything for the community. Otherwise I just wouldn't have been a part of it. Pretty much other than that, there isn't actually too much to say about the 96 Exit Championship itself. I suppose a lot of the preconditions sort of fall into the different claims accusations category. So I guess at that point we'll be talking about monetary promises, stuff for streamers, commentators, artists, whatever. But I suppose my personal experience with Speedrunners League and Jerry, I'm going to start with Jerry. I suppose a lot of you are actually going to be quite surprised to hear that I don't really have much to say negative about Jerry. I actually think Jerry's a really nice guy. I think he's, I still lean towards he's a very well-intentioned person and didn't mean to hurt anybody. But if that's the case, then there's clearly issues on the funding side, or whether it's feasible. Because if Jerry's well-intentioned and did this in good faith, and went into this being honest, then seems to be the only other explanation, unless it's just incompetence, which it could be. Again, it doesn't really seem to be very important to me because the outcome is still the same. But no, Jerry, I had a lot of fun talking to Jerry. Very ambitious. I had said to a couple of people that Jerry is a big picture guy. And whenever it comes to the small details about things, he is going to need a really good team behind him. And I suppose on the wider SR League topic, I think Jerry is very lucky to have some of the people working with him, not least, from what I can tell, Luke, but also the other content creators that decide to work with Speedrunners League. And I suppose, just as a personal note, I just want to say a big thanks to Luke for all the help and assistance in the tournament. Like, he just showed up in the Discord and said, how can I help? And he wasn't, and there wasn't anything promised for him, so I really appreciated it. But again, I think Jerry's ambitious. I think he has a big heart, but whenever it comes to actually producing or oh, whoops! I spilt my drink a little bit. Fuck me. Yeah, talking about incompetence here, and I can't even set a drink up properly. Okay, so what was I saying? Yeah, I think Jerry probably has a big heart. I think that's what I was saying, or something like that. But possibly can't fulfill a lot of the promises he makes because he makes a lot of promises, and unless he is taking constant notes of these promises, I can understand why this stuff happens. And it sort of comes back to poor planning, and even what Simple Flips is saying was 100% on the money. If you want to be serious about this, you need to have contracts. You need to have this all official, because you can't just have these group conversations with people and say, oh, we're going to pay for content creators, level creators, commentators, restreamers, organizers, artists. Like, at this point, you've just promised everything to everybody. And of course, people are going to come knocking on your door. Okay. Let me just reposition myself. Okay, just mopping up my fucking mess here. Okay, so I suppose the more interesting thing, and the more biting issue, I've sort of just talked about 10 minutes general background stuff, but the different claims and accusations and assertions made by different parties. Oh boy. I mean, this topic is the only reason why I'm sort of addressing this and why I'm bringing it up and not just staying silent. Because a lot of claims have been made, and I'm surprised maybe not to have seen more sort of just taking responsibility. Where to start? I don't even have notes here. Well, we'll start with Retro Bob and the $200 that was not paid to him. So another thing that I was asked to organise was the All Castle Showcase race, and basically the first person to win two races in a four-way would win $200 prize money. Pretty simple. And I've noticed the main line of argument from a lot of people sort of sticking up for Speedrunners League is, oh, but money's paid after the tournament. Well, straight off, we have an example of where an event was run, it was completed, there was a winner, the winner was owed $200, and it just wasn't happening. Like, I had an extensive call with Bob. Whenever he gave me a rundown of the communication, I was like, Bob, do not lie to yourself, this money isn't happening. It's just not happening. Don't bank on it. It's not happening. And, well, pretty much from the correspondence that Bob told me that he got from Jerry, it seemed to even go further than that, where it was like almost intentionally not getting paid, and that's what pushed me to withdraw the '96 tournament and pull that from Speedrunners League, because, well, one of the communications was Jerry had asked Bob if he had been paid yet. Interesting. It's even more interesting whenever you know that Bob hadn't passed any of his details on to Jerry, and this was about 3 weeks or something after he was supposed to be paid. It was the most bare minimum attempt. It's sort of like, I don't even know, placating Bob to just give him some sort of answer. I'm not really sure why he said that, because there was no way he could have been paid. I don't know why there was any implication of, have you been paid, as if it was possible. It wasn't possible. And basically it seemed like the sort of thing someone who was intentionally dodging having to make a payment, or just basically brushing aside Bob. It just seemed diversionary. And then pretty much any other correspondence was either bare minimum, where, you know, nothing was resolved, or just no contact, no replies, none of that. So pretty much that was our first example of promises were made, promises weren't fulfilled. And considering I was organising and running the '96 exit tournament, we were going into the semi-finals. We had like 5 more matches or something. Why am I going to take the risk of going to the semi-finals the semi-finals of which first, second, third, fourth all get prizes. Why would I risk those prizes not being there? Of course, I'm going to look for some other option. And on a personal note as well, I wasn't willing to work with people who were basically just, I don't know, making a fool out of Bob, and I wasn't willing to betray a really, really old friend by just ignoring that. And I didn't get any satisfactory answers with regards to the Bob thing either, so, you know, it just wasn't being answered. And whenever it came to not getting answers, that was the other thing. I wasn't able to get clarifications on things like prize pools, on things like the money promised to people putting hours into hosting stuff on the Speedrunners League channel. Okay, sort of a big oops on my part. I realized I'd probably miss out one thing, but yeah, I sort of tangent off on a point earlier. I just wanted to make one very, very quick clarification. So a lot of people are probably wondering why was there even money promised? Well, let me put this another way. Why the money was promised isn't really too hard to work out. Obviously, if Jerry's wanting people to actually be willing to put in some serious hours, Speedrunners League, it's probably a good idea to be offering people some sort of monetary repayment, at least for their time. But I suppose something I should just clear up is, why did I ever say that I was okay with restreamers, organizers, whatever, being repaid for their time? There are sort of a couple of answers or reasons for that. But first of all, obviously all the commentary, all the restreaming, all of the SMW work that I do, community stuff, whatever, all of that's voluntary. I have no issues with it being voluntary. I actually would have issues with it not being voluntary. And I suppose another thing that would be very good to clear up is, where does all the SMW gold go? Where does all the SMW money go? And Dots and I certainly aren't sitting on a big mound of, I don't know, sub money or whatever. But obviously that balance is accruing. The SMW Community channel. I'll make it known just for public record that Dots is the one that's holding on to that money. But Dots and I are full agreement that any of those funds should pretty much always be put back into the community. So, well, I'm not going to mention specifically what it is, but there's an event coming up that we're hosting, and all money from whenever the channel was monetized right up to the end of that event will be donated to that, and then after that we'll sort of just be acquiring a pot again that can be used for charity stuff, tournament stuff, whatever. And when I say tournament stuff, I mean possibly like prize pools or something. But I just wanted to make it clear that there's no profit motive for either me and Dots. That is going to be so obvious to you, but I just thought I'd point that out. So why was I willing to accept money for restreamers, and certainly for my own time as well, in the Speedrunners League end of things? Well, I wasn't due to be hosting a tournament that was going to be taking up pretty much a month of my time, with the exception of the last week. This wasn't really benefiting the SMW community, other than the runners getting exposure, which is something I wanted as well. It was another big reason why I wanted into this. Because Speedrunners League basically had 5,000 followers unrelated to the SMW community. That's amazing for runners. It's amazing for the community as a whole. Certainly even advertising the Super Mario World Twitch channel and things related to that. But I work from home, and knowing the crazy, insane, stupid hours that I put into the normal SMW tournaments, I basically have to write off weeks of my life. And I knew that might sound dramatic, but I do. in the full swing of the 11 exit tournament, the EFT tournament, the No Cape No Star World tournament. I was averaging like 6 to 8 hours a day, especially with EFT, and then a lot of the restreaming and commentating on the 11 exit side of things. It's pretty much a constant presence in that regards. And while I would love to just be able to offer someone like Jerry, you know what, it's fine, just do the prize pool. That takes out of my own money that I make from home, and I make fuck all basically. It's a constant struggle. You will know from how I even present myself that I probably don't have a lot of money, and that is always the case. And for me to even be repaid for my time, that's a pretty good deal for me. And where it's just, you know, making up for other people, any money would just be whatever. For me, it would actually really help. The other thing, the other big thing is, at the end of a tournament, I always come out of it thinking, or feeling very, very, I don't know, I'm just having a sort of brain freeze here. Well, just everybody, like all the commentators and restreamers, they put in so much time. I wish there was some way I could repay them, but I just can't. And yeah, sure, I mean, they're probably doing it for the same reasons I am, but I'm a big self-doubter. I can't just tell myself it's fine. I look at people like Def and Matthew and Walk, Dots, and everybody, like all those people there. They're putting in like 30, 40 hours into like one event, and it's crazy, and I can't come to terms with that. Like, I can come to terms with it on my own side, but I'm like, dude, I wish there was some way I could repay these guys. So that basically just clears up the money thing. And it would have felt good for me to be able to say, oh, you did some commentary, here's $5, or oh, you did 30 hours of restreaming, okay, here's $100 or something. Or that'd be 150 at the agreed price, but you know, it's whatever. Yeah, I'm just gonna edit this bit in and cue rest of talking, I guess. I'm trying to think as well. Yeah, another thing as well was, so they'd started an SMB1 tournament and they'd started an SMB3 tournament, and pretty much every time there was a restream needed, Jerry was going about and asking, oh, who can do this restream for $25? So there was already a precedent being set there, that A, the money was being paid up front, and was it being paid? That's the thing, I don't know, because we were promised the same things, and it sort of felt like, to me, well, if he's paying the restreamers of those other tournaments, he either A, has no respect for the stupid amount of hours that people were putting in this 96 exit tournament, or B, they were being lied to as well, or you know, I wasn't really sure, but whenever I'm seeing these same promises being made to people for another tournament that they're trying to put together, I just wasn't having it. Like, there was no way that I was also still willing to be, you know, telling restreamers, oh, you're going to be repaid for this, maybe? I don't know anymore. And it's definitely not a good business model whenever I essentially have to come begging for money as well. I mean, how much of a pathetic human being does it have to make me to go begging for money? It's just not on. And the things that BK said on Twitter, and from what I've heard also said in Truman's chat last night, I didn't witness it, but apparently it was a big community bash-a-thon, so I'm sure everybody had fun. But yeah, BK basically said, you know, if you're offering to pay people for stuff, not only should they not have to come begging for it, well, I mean, actually, sorry, that's on the lower end of the scale. Not only should they not have to ask for it, but it should be paid, just no strings attached. And the evening whenever I was talking to BK, and he resolved all our funding issues, it was amazing. It was the greatest feeling in the world, because within 2 minutes of me providing him the information, he'd paid Bob, he'd paid me, he'd paid everybody what they were due to be paid for different promises and different projects. and all of that, and that's the way it should be. And BK made some pretty interesting points as well about funding. He's having to tell people, oh, I'll get you that $25 next Monday or something. It doesn't really seem like the funding's feasible. But again, that isn't really my area of concern. Not of any interest to me anymore. And I just want to address as well. So at the start of the tournament, I was offered $150 to organize the tournament, and that's something I eventually ended up passing up. But as well, restreamers and commentators were offered $5 per hour, which, I have to be honest, that's pretty reasonable. It's lower than the minimum wage. But that's unimportant. I thought 5 was totally fine, and considering some of the money it paid out in previous restreams and commentators and all of that, he would have been bust within 2 weeks after hosting the SMW tournament. So yeah, we thought it was probably good at $5, well, per hour per match. It was per hour, but I probably would have ended up working it out per match. And yeah, those promises just weren't being fulfilled either. I'd ask a couple of times, I either got no answer or the subject changed. Actually, while I'm on this subject as well, I've heard a couple of people tell me now that he's been using the excuse that he has tried to get in contact with me or that I wasn't answering calls. Absolute bullshit, unfounded. That is completely a lie. Every call that I've received from Jerry, I've either picked up immediately or called him back within 5 minutes. And normally I'm quite bad at getting back to people, but with Jerry, I was 100% on the ball there. So there was never any lack of communication on my end. There wasn't any, oh, I forgot, or oh, I tried to get in contact, or nobody was home. Bullshit. 100% bullshit. Trying to think of any other claims or accusations made. Oh, there was another claim made that I told him Rezi's work was free. I definitely did not tell him that. And even though this was said in a call, I have something to back that up, because I posted, or I sent him a DM, a link to Rezi's website, and I said to him, have a look at the pricing. You know, I never said it was free. Not a chance. I wouldn't imply that, because not only do I know it's not free, but I'm not willing to sell someone like Rezi out, like Rezi's a friend. Also, the work that he puts in is pretty fucking serious, so yeah, bullshit. That's another 100% bullshit. Any other claims? Again, my lack of notes showing here. I feel there are some other claims that he made about me personally as well that are just total lies. On a personal level, I'm not bothered, whatever. I was never very bothered to begin with. But what does bother me is sort of, well, essentially smearing the SMW community, different things like that. Those are things that do concern me. But I guess if I think of any more claims or accusations, I'll come back to it, I guess. But other than that, basically, quickly my thoughts on Speedrunners League and this type of operation in general. I know a lot of people say, oh, once the money gets involved, that's a bad thing. I don't even really buy that. Although I can see some conflicts of interest, don't get me wrong. But generally speaking, I think if it's just, if it's transparent with people and people know the money that's being paid, I don't think there's an issue. I don't think there's conflict of interest, assuming people know, and assuming there's full transparency. My thoughts on Speedrunners League in general. I just hope for Jerry's sake that he has a lot of funding and a lot of cash flow coming his way, because it's never seemed feasible to me. Especially not as a short-term investment. Now, Jerry did say to me that he was hoping to maybe go without profit for a year or even 2 years. But even at that, like, it's so crazy. And considering he, at that point, he'd already paid out probably like $2,000 or $3,000 for the guts of 6 matches or something. Simple Flips and Chris M, like they were involved in a couple. And there were a couple of other speedrunner showcase races, but it was a lot of money. And I was never 100% sure it was feasible. But then again, even though I really didn't believe it would be, or I'm not sure actually. I'm not sure if I believed it could be a success, but even though I was massively skeptical, I thought I was doing him a favor by, pitching in, outside of it. Sorry, I need to take a drink. God. Yeah, I thought I was helping out by pitching in outside of the 96 exit tournament because it was in need of some proper organization. I mentioned earlier, Jerry is a big picture sort of guy, and I hope he doesn't take any offense to this, certainly. But the smaller details, he will probably always need people to pick up that load for him. I'm not sure. He's a very, very ambitious sort of guy. And definitely even fits the role of someone to be at the top of an organization like this, but if you have a look even at their Twitch page, you'll just, it speaks for itself. Pretty much any of the small work that seems to be put in by Jerry is sort of noticeable. And I'm not making any judgments on that, but people will probably know what I'm saying whenever I say that. And two things that stand out to me, I've already mentioned them to people previously, but whenever tournament is misspelled on your Twitch page, and several people have brought it up, both in your Discord and in chat, not only is that humiliating for me, someone who's associated with them, but how is that not so humiliating that you would actually go ahead and make that change? Just one edit, that's all it takes. And there was also a theme of a lot of things being left undone or half finished or just abandoned. The other thing was the spreadsheet for the schedule. And I'm sorry, man, but if you can't make a spreadsheet, I don't know, it's one of those things. And again, that is not a shot at anyone in particular. I feel like I've said mostly positive things about people on a personal level, but it just doesn't seem something that's feasible to me whenever the small details can't even get sorted out, I guess. Okay, I have said a lot. I'm just going to have a quick think here and see if there's anything else that I think should be brought up before moving on to the SMW community side of things. Oh yeah, I never mentioned Dots' side. So pretty much from the get-go, Dots has promised stuff as well for promoting Speedrunners League. These things were not fulfilled. Also, Dots ended up banning Speedrunners League and sort of related accounts on all his social media as well, pretty much because he was getting spammed through notifications from them. But also, again, to touch up on that earlier thing, I'm not sure, he can probably clarify, but he was promised some amorphous amount of money for promotion, and it just didn't happen, and he got removed from the executive list or something, I don't know. Basically, it was just another example of a promise being made very casually and just not being fulfilled. And actually, that is something that I should probably talk about. A lot of these promises are made very casually and off the cuff. Not a good business model. And I sort of did touch up on that earlier, whenever I was saying, all these promises that were being made, like, how could you even keep track of them? And as well, there was this upcoming ROM hack tournament, Blind Kaizo tournament or something, that Jerry was wanting to subcontract through some very skilled and pretty awesome people. But as well, the amount of promises that he made to them in that call that I sat in on is crazy. There was no way that he was ever going to remember all of those promises, and that was going to cause conflict, because they were eventually going to come up to him with a list, we need these people owed, and he hasn't even accounted for it. So, like, this is sort of why these things aren't getting paid for. I imagine it's enough of a strain on the budget already, without people just like randomly appearing and say, oh yeah, you promised us this, that he probably doesn't even remember. So there was that. But yeah, I think Dots made a very good call right from the start. It's a very obvious call. Probably something he would admit that was obvious, and even at the time I would have admitted it was obvious, but just to stay the fuck away from the Speedrunners League thing. There were always issues with it. But I was just optimistic about it. Like, optimistic isn't even probably the word. I just ignored my own inhibitions, ignored my skepticism, said, what's the worst that could happen? Jerry seemed like a really nice guy, though that wasn't a contributing factor. Like, him being a nice guy isn't really important to me. Sort of the operation is more important to me. And as well, I thought I had decent evidence that promises would be fulfilled. I'd already seen him pay out to a couple of different big people a lot more money than what was ever discussed on our end. So I thought it was probably fine. Like, wasn't sure if it was going to be feasible long term, but certainly if he just fulfilled the promises on the 96 exit side of things, then that was fine by me. So pretty much I'll just summarize with the SMW community side of things. Well, on the tournament side of thing, we are going into third place playoffs and finals this week. And even after all of this, I still don't feel like any of this drama or bullshit or whatever has tainted this tournament. This tournament has been fucking amazing, and I'm so blessed to be a part of it. Everybody is scheduled on time, all these matches have been restreamed, commentated. I want to mention people like Matthew, Mike, Stan, Dabs, Twitchmaster. Actually, you know what? At this point, I'm just gonna get like the actual thing up because I know I'm missing out on people. Actually, you know what? Even let's put this aside. I just want to say a big personal thank you to BK. BK bailed us out of this. Bailed us out of having to deal with any of this bullshit. And again, the way he dealt with it is the way any competent person should deal with this. You tell me what needs to be done, and I'll do it. And it wasn't even BK's responsibility to do it. BK was cleaning up the mess that somebody else created, which, unfortunately, I did contribute to by not just saying no. But, again, why should I need to? But yes, a big thank you, first of all, to Matthew. Matthew has done so much work, probably as much as I have in terms of hours. I want to thank Rezi for all the artwork and always being there. Dabs, Storster, Twitchmaster, Stan, Mike, Oglib, Xander, Bluecent, I said Twitchmaster already, Jackson, Zero Maverick as well. Just thanks to all those awesome people. And as well, just big thank you to Dots for always being about. Now, again, he hasn't had anything to do with the 96 exit tournament, but it's great knowing that there's always someone I can rely on, and indeed the whole community can rely on. So yeah, on the SMW community side of things, this definitely isn't going to put me off any future tournaments and future events. We actually have an event coming up right after this tournament. I'm not going to say what that is because it hasn't been made public yet, but I know everybody's going to love it. It's a bit different from a tournament, and it's actually the first, I think it's the first alternative sort of event that we've had for SMW officially on the channel. So that's absolutely amazing. The SMW community channel is on the verge of partner. We're so close. And I actually think by the end of the week we will have met the requirements. So that's pretty exciting. I can unofficially announce that there will be a tournament this winter. That hasn't been 100% confirmed yet. Well, it's confirmed in the sense that we're pretty sure it's happening. But basically, Dalton and I discussed quite a while ago at this point now that we're probably going to do a summer-winter dealio with tournaments. The spring-summer tournament is going to be his. He will run that. And then the winter tournament will be my sort of project. So we're aiming for at least 2 tournaments a year for the SMW community. So I'm looking forward to that. It's definitely going to be my first tournament, fully SMW community, fully hosted. Oh, I can't wait. It's going to be amazing. The last 2 tournaments I've been involved with have been weird for different reasons, but this one will be clear cut. It's going to be great to be back on the SMW community channel, not have any invitational stuff or restrictions on PBs, double elimination, hundreds of matches, you know, all that good stuff. I can't wait to not sleep for about 3 months. So there is that to look forward to. Also, I mean, something I felt I should mention, not that it really needs to be, but just to clarify, whenever it comes to people involved, or whenever it comes to the people in the SMW community, you're more than welcome to still deal with Speedrunners League. Like, there's no ban or blacklist or, you know, whatever on Speedrunners League, and who would we be to say that anyway? Having said that, there won't be any repeat of this on the SMW community side. That is pretty clear cut at this point. Obviously, I imagine we're still going to be working with the likes of Big John and Speedrun Battle Arena, another event that was absolutely awesome. Loved being a part of it, and those promises were fulfilled pretty easily. So yeah, I know I haven't really ended this on a solid note, but I did say that this would sort of just be an unedited ramble, and I've certainly done that. So I'm probably going to listen to this, play it back, cut out any of the random crap, like really off-topic stuff, but I can't imagine there's going to be much editing. At this point, the recording is like 34 minutes or something, which does feel like quite a bit. I might want to cut that down a little bit just so I'm not boring you all to death. But yeah, I think I've said everything I need to. Hopefully this can be fairly, just, I don't know, hopefully we can just move on from this. Because even though I enjoyed the first 5 minutes of this, I definitely didn't want any of it. I really didn't want any of this. And again, I don't think Jerry has done any of this intentionally. And again, if he hasn't done any of this intentionally, then that probably means he's struggling himself. I didn't want to pile on. So, yeah. Also, Super Mario Bros. 2U. I sort of just had this on in the background. I didn't really know what to put in the video, so I just did this. I don't know. I noticed I hadn't played it for like any of the videos, so breaking the rules now, I guess. So yeah, basically, I'm gonna wrap up on a personal note and say that it's just amazing being part of the community. And everything that I do for the SMW community on the channel and sort of just around on the Twitter, the Discord, whatever, all of that is obviously voluntary. The only repayment I need is to see stuff progress in the community, which things have been. So it's all good on that end. I want to thank you all for listening, maybe. I know I've sort of rambled on a little bit long here, but again, just a big thank you to everybody. Don't let this make you cynical about things in future. Most of the times this won't happen, but unfortunately it did. We've dealt with it, and there we go. And expect plenty more great stuff from the SMW community as well. Yeah, take care, guys.